Welcome to Sam Outside. I'm Sam and I'm outside. I'm going to offer you a couple of hacks on how to get the most out of your walking habit. So first and foremost, thanks for walking. Yeah, walking is possibly one of the easiest and most beneficial exercises that one can do. I mean, that's how we're designed. It's how we're built as animals on this planet through hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. We have adapted to walk upright, mobile. We are creatures designed to be in motion, all right? Upright so we can navigate the landscape and be part of our environment in the safest way. And I don't take it for granted. I know that there are so many that are not capable of having the capacity to be capable of being mobile. And it's one of the first things in the medical profession they do to promote active recovery is to get as much of the human body moving as possible, right? I happen to have a number of family and friends who their quality of life has greatly changed due to challenges with their mobility. So it's a constant challenge to find ways to get as much of the human body. It's all about blood flow. It's all about the amount of oxygen, all right? So the more that we can move, the better we are going to be physically, mentally, and emotionally, right? So your walking habit. Now there's a number. Oh, don't worry about the 10,000 steps. It's just a number. Any amount of walking you can do is going to improve your situation. So just start with a walk, all right? Don't worry about the time. Don't worry about the number of steps. Just move. Now, if you want to actually see the gains, once you are committed to the act of walking, once you've got that persistence, all right, that helps you get it. Now, it's through the consistency. Once it is a habit, once you've got yourself a routine, then you'll actually start to notice the benefits. So don't worry about the 10,000 steps, just walk. Now, the research is showing that getting all those steps at once is not as beneficial as breaking it up, all right? So what it does, instead of giving that challenge like a regular workout, the way we think about exercise, is that it will challenge your body to adapt throughout the course of its waking day, right? So having a walk, first thing, splitting it up, walking, just making small active choices instead of using an elevator or an escalator, just take the stairs, all right? That act alone, varying the terrain. Hack number 2, if possible, get off flat terrain using terrain, all right? It's going to engage different muscle groups. It's going to engage your core. It's going to challenge your posture in different ways. So if you've got the capacity, you're going to change the way you walk if you've got some significant downgrade. And yes, you will greatly increase the demands cardiovascularly, as well as what you're doing to engage different muscle groups when you have some upgrades. And even those turns, right? If you're going to be switching terrain. Now, when it comes to terrain, hack number 3, if you can find different medium to walk on, what it does to your stabilizers, what it does to your balance, what it does to your ability to strengthen smaller muscle groups, walking on sand, very different than walking on a treadmill, even gravel, even just like a trail where you've got to actually step over roots, over rocks, over logs, navigate a boardwalk, navigate different parts of the natural world, will actively change the outcome and the benefits of a regular walk, whether it's down your street on, what would be considered a relatively flat paved surface, changes everything, right? So hack number 4, it's about the intensity, right? So most of us, we get into our rhythm and we want to be able to walk at a comfortable pace. And right, you can tell that by your ability to breathe and hold a conversation. You should be able to walk at a pace where, yes, you can still engage in a conversation, right? So that's really the difference. However, if you want to increase the gains, consider interval walking. So that's 3 minutes of a slower pace, and then add 3 minutes of a more intense pace, one where you are going to notice the difference in your breath work. You're going to notice in your ability to maybe hold that conversation, and then back to 3 minutes. So do that for 3 to 5 cycles, 3 minutes slow, 3 minutes fast. That's interval walking. Now, about the breath work, all right, you are going to increase your oxygen intake, and you're actually going to require carbon dioxide. We all think of carbon dioxide as the byproduct, right? It's waste. It's not. We need CO2 in our muscles. It actually helps grab certain things and pull them out of our muscles, right? So when it comes to lactic acid buildup, when it comes to waste, we need that exchange of not only more oxygen, right? And it's the oxygen that's going to be part of our muscle development and our muscle growth, our muscle engagement, all right? Part of our cardiovascular improvement and strengthening, right? Part of that exercise comes with more oxygen. So breathing through your nose, right? That's what our nose is designed. There's so much that happens with the comfort and the ease and the strengthening of our entire circulatory system, our breathwork. We can breathe through, inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. You can do it all through your nose. That's great. It's so much of a filter as well as regulating temperature, which won't be as much of a shock, right? It's actually adding moisture, which our lungs and body need, right? So going through the mouth, you're missing most, if not all of that capacity to filter and regulate temperature and moisten and correctly go through the process of oxygen intake and carbon dioxide expelling. So hack number, the next hack, let's just call it that. Consider the time of day. If you can get one walk in the morning, all right, you're making available a different wavelength of natural light, right? So you're getting more of the red spectrum. So either at sunrise, which is one place to get it, or of course you can get it at sundown. But when walking in the morning, what it does to your circadian rhythm, that's going to improve your quality of sleep. It also helps amplify what already happens to your creativity. Walking actually boosts your creativity, but walking in the morning actually sets the momentum for your creative thoughts, your mental focus, and your problem solving, your coping, self-regulation, resets all of that for the rest of your day. So if you can find the time to have one of your walks first thing in the morning, greatly improves the benefits. Now, let's talk about this, adding a little bit of weight. So if you're looking to add gains, right? So yes, adding a little bit of weight, especially in the beginning, just wear a backpack, right? Or a weighted vest that is, 10% of your body weight, whatever that might be. So, you don't even have to do that. Just add some weight. So start off slow where it's not really going to impede and add any discomfort, right? So that little bit of weight is going to add to the strength, the development in your leg muscles and all those small stabilized muscles as you participate in some of those other hacks, given the terrain, given the intensity, all those aspects. Engage your core. So the ability to walk with weight, and here's where the focus comes in, really work on your posture, right? So you don't want that weight dragging you forward, which is why I appreciate the vest relative to a backpack. So I don't feel like I'm being pulled backwards, straining my lower back. The vest generally does distribute the weight more evenly. Walking already does amazing things to bone density, which adds to your longevity, osteoporosis. And we know that walking as a habit improves your cardiovascular strength, which adds to your longevity. So lowering blood pressure, all right, greater exchange of oxygen helps with your insulin levels and blood sugars, all those things. So while you're considering what you're wearing, there is a difference between walking with a weighted vest and actually rucking. Rucking, we generally associate with more of a military training aspect. And so then we're talking like maybe as much as half your body weight. And for some people, carrying half their body weight on their back, that's exercise. So then you're really strength training and you're talking about your endurance and your resistance, right? So maybe that's something you work up to, but don't go starting right out of the gate with a ruck, right? So aim toward that. So walking with a weighted vest will definitely add some gains. Walking, let's talk about timing again. If you can walk within a couple of minutes of eating, what it does, again, just going back to those insulin levels, going back to your oxygen, greatly improves the body's ability to use that glucose that you just ingested, putting it straight in to the muscle tissue that is being engaged and is active. It's going to change your metabolism. So if you have different points of your day where you're walking, walk after you have breakfast, walk after you have lunch, we're talking like 10, 15 minutes after that, right? Then don't hold off to an hour. So wait on the dishes, all right? Have your snack, and if you've got a half-hour lunch break, spend 10 minutes of that, 5 minutes of that, just going for a walk. It'll make a difference, right? In terms of your digestion, your metabolism, you won't feel bloated, right? And you won't get that sort of après-meal coma, all right? So, walking in nature, right? Improves the gains, the stimulus, change the terrain. All those things will just naturally come by getting off the sidewalk, walking in nature, whether that's a park or, there's studies that showing even walking in cultural sites, historical sites, even if you're not aware, if you're not stopping to read plaques and monuments, just the act of knowing that you're someplace of historical significance, cultural significance, will greatly improve your connection. So we're talking a different mental focus, an emotional connection, all right? But walking in nature and practicing some mindfulness while you're doing some breath work, while you're engaging on good posture, while you're engaging in different terrains and maybe intensities, you are surrounded by other living things. And when you're made available to bird sound and water sound and even just color, there's a myriad of benefits that come emotionally and mentally, right? So then we're still increasing the quality of your sleep, making available more oxygen, making available more daylight. So we're talking about decreasing cortisol, what happens in nature anyway, whether you're moving or not. Decreasing cortisol just happens whether you're walking with any change in variation at all. You're decreasing cortisol by spending time doing exercise. Releases endorphins, walking in nature, getting access to daylight and more oxygen, increases serotonin levels. These are all feel-good hormones, feel-good chemicals, all right? So choosing nature, walking with a weighted vest, and if it is safe to do so, maybe not in this terrain that I'm on with my slope, but if you do have the ability, spend some time walking backwards. I'm looking forward to that ability because I do walk. Really, a lot of my walks are forward and I use terrain. But in a couple months, Heart Lake over here, it's going to be frozen over. That becomes my biggest playing field. And I will spend 10, 15 minutes walking backwards with the dog. And what you're really doing there, the difference really happens in the knees. You're engaging different parts, different muscle groups. And again, with your posture, and again, with entirely different muscle groups working on balance and coordination. What it also does to the human brain, because we're not able subconsciously to survey the natural world. So you are needing to sort of look backwards at, as you navigate. So that's why I look forward to doing it on the ice, because I've got no risks of tripping or slipping or running into something like that. So, hey, if you're including walking as an exercise on a treadmill, yeah, just turn around. A totally different workout, all right? Not only physically, but also mentally, all right? So all these little things, is it possible to do them all at once? Yeah, but that's a lot. Just start by going for a walk, all right? Take several small walks and build from there. Just understand and appreciate that something we take for granted can be built upon to add benefits. You're going to notice the difference in your waistline. You're going to notice the difference in how you metabolize, how you breathe, your energy levels, all right? And just your overall well-being. So there was a time when all of our civil engineering and city building was focused on vehicle. How do we get the most amount of people from one area to another? But it took some time, but they started to notice that as a population, we were not as physically, mentally, and emotionally sound. So it took some time, but there are now great changes being done in neighborhoods and cities all over the world where they're taking roads and they're just turning them back into, a half kilometer, a couple kilometer stretches of walking paths. Even some downtown cores in some small towns, they've just closed the road and made it available to walking only. Now, at first, people are like, well, that just doesn't feel as busy. We're going to lose business. But what they actually find is that by making available lots of parking, of course, which requires some planning, but by inviting people to walk, people are more likely to go into stores they would never go into. People have to make an effort to stop the drive. stressed by parking and then go in. So sometimes, I mean, that's the success of big box stores. I can get everything I want in one stop. So by reducing where vehicles go and forcing people to walk, they go everywhere. All right. It took some time for us to figure that out, but walking does have not only the physical, mental, and emotional benefits, but there are some financial gains to be had by incorporating and inviting people out of necessity to spend more time walking, right? So walking already is a great form of exercise. It is life-changing for your physical well-being, your mental well-being, your emotional well-being. But if you can find a couple ways just to add, 1% here and 1% there, 2% there, those gains add up. And you'll notice some of those effects immediately while you're walking. Other effects might take a little bit longer. They'll take days, weeks. But as your walking habit becomes consistent, you will notice the gains exponentially benefit your overall well-being. People will notice, right? Hey, what's going on? Doing something different? Yeah. I'm walking with intention, with purpose, with focus, making small changes, regardless of what that might look like. Just move. All right. So engage your upper body, work on your posture, get outside, walk in nature, right? That's where you're going to find the most benefits. And all those other things come. Put on a little weight. It'll help you lose weight. All right. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you. Please be active. Please go outside. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.